Hello.
Hi.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Can someone tell me how good my audio quality is?
You are very quiet.
I'm very quiet. Let me try the webcam microphone.
So how is it now?
Better.
Better? Okay.
Okay. So Daljit is here, so we can start with the 5G updates.
Hello, good morning all. I'm going to share my screen and then do the update.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. All right. So 5G SA perspective, we have basically all the features are available in 1.8 branch, and we are just continuing the testing. And some of the major peers got merged recently, and is the features are in there. From this is the hardening regression testing perspective. There are a couple of GenHav tasks and a few peers got merged. And GenHav task mainly was heavily related to the router advertisement issue for IPv6. And the next one was IPv6 allocating IP block in mobility D. There was a retries for PDU establishment requests. So those are fixed as well. Peers merge again. One is with the IPv6 router advertisement. And then the other two is the session modification defect. and pipeline production configuration issue. I think I went too far. Yeah. 5G SA feature and release status. IPv6 again, main P has merged. Regression and scale testing is going well so far, and we are fixing the issues we are finding. And the Magma CAE for 5G looks good so far. Testing coverage for 5G SA again is we are doing all the TeraVM testing which was happening in 1.7. We are doing part of ABOT from Rebecca. So those unit test cases are in place and they are working okay. Spirant related automated testing and performance and throughput testing and verification against the real GNB. That work is also it's in progress. A lot of it is done, and we just doing some final testing there. Continuing on the branch. 5G SA, this is the 1.8 release specific. There are a couple of PRs which need attention on backporting. The first one actually is already in 1.8, and the next one is related to our YU package. This is available for merge, and this we can discuss in coming days. Probably Jogesh is driving it, and the documentation PRs again are available for GTP extension, 5G feature specific and release note, and there's a work in progress. And then 1.8 community meeting has rest of the items available there, so I just paste the link there. That's very much I have. Any questions for me? Okay, Shubham, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Daljit. So we can continue with Bazel updates, starting with Lars.
Yeah, thanks. Just quickly share. All right, yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about is required matrix workflows. So maybe this is also more of a bit of a general topic, but in particular about how we are using it for the Bazel workflow now. So in principle, it's quite easy to set up a matrix workflow on GitHub Actions, and you can just run different configs, for example, in parallel. But if the workflow needs to be required, then there's a bit of a buggy or counterintuitive behavior on the GitHub Actions right now. And so what you need is a bit of infrastructure around it. There is a wiki page, so I don't want to go into too much detail here. There's a Magma wiki page where you can find all the details on how to do this if you want to do this for other jobs. But in our case, it looks like this now. So this is the Bazel workflow. And here you can see that the interesting step is now this one. So this is the matrix job, and it runs the build and test all job with different configs. So we have the address sanitizer configuration and production configurations. And to get this right as a required job, 2 helper jobs are needed. So this one will only run if all of these are successful. And then there's one job that will always run and check the status of this job and whether the path filter was skipped or not. And then this is the only job that is relevant for the required status on PRs, for example. And as we can see, this is working quite well overall here. So this was a run where there weren't many changes to build from scratch. So it was only 8 minutes, and we ran all these configs in parallel, which is quite nice. And so on your PR, you have to look for this last status job. So it'll look like this. So Bazel build and test, and then the Bazel build and test status job. And this one's the only one that is required here. So this one will be read if one of these jobs here or these like sub jobs fail. Yeah, this is also like as an information, if people get confused about this, please also either look at the wiki or ask in the Bazel Slack channel. Yeah, any questions about that before we continue maybe? No? All right, then the other thing I want to talk about is the remote caches for the LTE Intec tests, in particular for the Bazel ones, of course. So we have recently started to use the remote caches for the services built here. There were some issues with using the remote caches on the VM, but we've sorted these out. And as you can see now, we're much faster now with the remote caches. There are a lot of flakiness right now on master for both the Bazel and make Intec test workflows, but this is a recent green run. And it now was in basically exactly 3 hours with this. And this is still, so if we look into this here, so here is the step where we build the services with Bazel, and with the cache now here, this was 14 minutes. Running the tests is the biggest chunk still, and we are still building the tests themselves on the test VM with Make. We have a PR open that will be merged soon, hopefully, that will also build and run the tests with Bazel, and then this should also be accelerated with the remote caches. And we're working on another PR, which will also build and run the pseudo tests with Bazel. So we're hoping that we can get further speed ups if all of this is in place. But yeah, so now we're at 3 hours if everything's working right. And so this is already sort of roughly an hour faster than the Make workflow, which doesn't have the remote cache, of course. All right, that's it from me.
Okay, so if no questions, we can continue with Jane. Jane, you're on mute. Yeah, no questions, I guess.
Jan, do you want to continue?
And sorry.
Sorry, let me just share this. So can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, so we did a little investigation into if we can build the service Docker images with Bazel for the AGW. And yeah, I'd like to emphasize that this was just an investigation, so there's no current plan to do that. We still have to evaluate the pros and cons of that approach, but we wanted to see if it would in principle be possible and what the answer it is, and it looked relatively easy. And so for showing here, I'd like to show you how it would look like if you package a simple C service, for example. And what you see here in this example is this LiAgentD image, which is a Bazel target, which basically relies on two other targets. The one other target is the LiAgentD binary, and the other target is the LiAgentD base image. And then the base image itself is composed of various steps. There's this install packages step, which in turn depends on this download packages step, which just downloads the apt, like the Debian packages required for LiAgentD to run. And yeah, this way you can basically build your dependency tree and build your Docker images. That's it. Anyone has questions on that?
Then next one should be Chris, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I would like to tell you about some new features that we have added to the integration script, integration test runner script. This is a wrapper script for Bazel, and I will start this because it's a bit slow, but I will explain what it does. So the first thing is that now you can add any number of tests here after each other, and these can be from different categories also, so they can be pre-commit, extended, non-sanity, and the script will figure out what it is, and it will execute the setup and teardown methods accordingly for each test. And another feature that we added is that you can add this flag retry on failure. And with this, if a test case fails, then it will be retried twice by default, but you can specify any number. Here I specified one with this retry attempts argument. And if we look into this, then we should be able to see is okay. While it is still running, I will show you one more thing. I am running the test attach detach test and another test, and I introduce this self assert true false. This will make it fail. And one more feature is that now all runs will generate an XML file about the test report, and this can be published just like with make. And now it run 2, and the test attach test is failing because I modified it, and the other one passed. And here you can see that this was test case execution 2. There is also another entry there, that test case execution 1, because it retried once. And now the last feature is that if we have this flag, which will rerun all previously failed job, which were failed in the previous run only. And sorry. First, I want to fix it. And then, sorry, I misclicked, but now the previous run was deleted, but it will rerun the failed one, and now it would have been passed because I fixed it, but I didn't manage to do that. That was my bad. I won't do it again because it takes a bit of time, but you get the point. So are there any questions?
Then you can start, Niels. Next.
Okay, then I will take over the screen and come to the last basal point. Yeah. So should be shared. What we also merged to master now is the basalification of the production scripts. This is, well, sorry. For example, the HEW health ClePy script. I'm currently on an environment where Magma is installed. So this script is deployed as well. I guess most of you know about the script. We get some nice information about the status, how many core dumps are there, how many devices are connected. And after these, we get a little bit more information. We get information about the service, the state they are running, and how many errors there are in the syslog since the last restart. So, of course, this script was now executed from the regular Magma installation, but it is now basalified as well. So I can run with Basel the respective target. The script together with dependencies is built and executed, but of course the created artifact can be executed as a standalone as well. This is needed so we can finish the basalification of the Magma build. Noteworthy is here, this is only one script from roughly 50, and while we migrated the scripts to Basel, we noticed that the state of the current scripts should be consolidated. So this here is a list of these 50 scripts, and everywhere where you see these warning sign, there is the current opinion that this script is broken or at least needs some fixes on the production build. There are various reasons for this, but there are actually a lot. One thing that is noteworthy here, a lot of load tests or for load tests are actually deployed on every Magma production environment. And this doesn't really make sense because we don't deploy the needed dependencies for the load tests, for example. Yeah, but if anybody has knowledge about the script, feel free to take a look at the issue, write a comment if you think a script is not necessary or is necessary or scripts are missing in a production environment. This would help to start an issue to clean this up a little bit. Are there any questions? Then I'm finished, and we are finished with the Bazel presentations. Thank you.
Yeah, we can continue with the DevOps update, starting with Sebastian.
Hey everyone. Yes, so I wanted to talk about some further work on the integration tests. That's actually going in 2 directions in parallel. Let me just share. So the first one is about running the integration tests against the containerized gateway. And the second one is about running integration tests against the deployed gateway using Debian installation packages. And basically the motivation for both of them is that at the moment we run the integration tests against the dev environment in the CI. And we've had several bugs and issues with the production release in the past that, for example, versions of third-party dependencies were not the same between the dev environment and the production. It would be really good to have something that's much closer to production in the CI. And both of these are currently work in progress, but they're coming along further. So the first one, for the containerized gateway, we've succeeded in setting up the gateway and running first integration tests against it like this. But we're still in the process of getting all integration tests and integration tests with the traffic server to run. So that's not quite as far. For the deployed Debian package gateway, we've got all integration tests to run, and we're now working on setting up a CI flow that runs after the build all job. So basically at the same position as the existing integration test CI flow. And the main problem is that it's not quite as stable as the dev environment, but we're still working on that. And this one can already be used with a cherry pick on any branch you're interested in. And we used it for integration tests of the 1.8 release, and that was yeah, fairly quick to set up and gave some good results. And yeah, that's it from my side. You can find the ongoing issues here, and yeah, we're working on that. Any questions? Then
Okay.
Next is Shubham, I think.
Yeah. So some of the DevOps update we have that we are trying to release candidate version today or latest by tomorrow. We have already pushed the ARM-based Docker images for the access gateway. So when we are working on other areas, community has already started testing, and they will soon give us results. And Max, you can give other release updates if you have any.
Sorry, I missed the release meeting since I was off yesterday, and I have nothing to add. Everything needs to be contributed by others, I think.
Yeah. So we basically discussed around the release candidate. So that's already said. Okay. So any questions from anyone regarding any of the topic? Okay, we still have some time left if anyone would like to bring something up.
Hi, good morning. I need to find who to talk to about the system architecture of the connection in the mock-in gateway between the CBRS small cell and the mock-in gateway. I need to document the architecture of that for the purposes of threat modeling. So I wonder who would be a good resource.
Is that already there, or is that future development?
That is one of the questions that I have to ask. There's a request from Aswin to look at the security facets of this, and so that the first question to ask is, what is there and how does it work?
I think the best entry point is potentially Amar, as he orchestrates that and started it, and he can potentially push you to send you to the right person for that specific question.
That's good advice. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else like to bring something up? Okay. And thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.